everybody. Welcome to College Band Radio Live, brought to you by College Marching, sponsored by FlipFolderApp. I hope everybody is doing well, staying healthy, and got a chance to listen to our March 4th episode, where we talked a little bit about continuing with marching band after high school and the transition into college band. And obviously today, if you're looking at the screen, you might notice that there's a face that might not be as familiar to some of you. And so that is actually that is Marcus Dubreuil. I think I pronounced that correctly, right?
Yep.
And he is the founder and creator of our sponsor, FlipFolderApp. So Marcus, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
I am so glad to, we're all so glad to have you. Yeah.
No, lies.
It's
okay.
Sorry,
Everybody
I got a little confused there because I had the stream audio coming through, and so like halfway through the intro, I started to like hear my voice back in my head, and I was like, "Oh, this is weird." So sorry to the viewers about that. This is Marcus. He's a nice guy. Anyway,
I'm a nice guy.
like I said, Marcus is the founder and creator of FlipFolderApp, and so he started that company when he was in the pit band a few years ago, when he saw that there was a hole in the market, and he decided, you know what, I can do something about that. But I guess, Marcus, can you just tell us a little bit about, the process that you went through to kind of come up with FlipFolderApp in general?
Sure. Yeah. I think it was less me thinking there was a hole in the market and more just like I wanted to create something cool that like wasn't there as far as like honestly, it was meant just for my friends at first. It was like this app that was meant to sort of help out people who just didn't want to have to deal with like the cloud storage interfaces and stuff. And then it grew kind of from there. And I think on a previous podcast, I talked a lot about like that sort of, FlipFolderApp and sort of the focus on that. But I'm also happy to talk about sort of like what starting a business in college was like, because I think that's something that is kind of daunting, but also it's possible, and it's I do want to kind of, I think it's useful for people to hear that like how you can go about doing that.
I might need some tips.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. In general, starting a business is definitely not an easy thing to do, and then you add on the pressure of you're also in school at the time. I'm sure that was a crazy thing. Can you tell us a little bit about what was going on during that period, how it all came together, and how FlipFolderApp came to be with all the craziness of starting that business while you were a student?
Yeah, sure. So you think, the first year when I had the app, it was just used by Pitt, and it was only, I guess, at that point where I was basically getting calls from other band directors, or I guess my band director was getting calls. I don't actually, at that point I didn't have their numbers. But I do now, as much as, anyway, they let my band director know that they'd like to use the app, and if it was possible for me to grow it out of that, just Pitt, then they wanted to give it a try. So one thing I'd recommend anybody doing if you're thinking about starting any kind of business is try to find if your school has an innovation institute of some form. I think mine was just called Innovation Institute at Pitt. And they have different programs that, help you. Honestly, I didn't even, I just scheduled an appointment with someone to talk through like all of my questions, because I certainly had a lot of questions trying to start a business, and they were happy to just give some advice on sort of what I should do. I even found who ended up being my business partner through the Innovation Institute, and we that's basically what happened. We grew it because this person who knew a lot more about business than I did, he was a graduate student at the Katz Business School at Pitt, just partnered up with me, who, I was a tech guy who knew absolutely nothing about that. And that's the only way it was able to kind of get going. So, some way or another, you got to kind of partner up, or, whether that be with the university, with someone who knows stuff about business, or with another student. I definitely think it's not like, it might be possible, but it's pretty improbable to try and, kind of do a startup in college just by yourself.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it's something that'd be pretty hectic to do. Honestly, I don't really know what things Rutgers has, but I'm sure, like you said, most schools probably have some stuff like that. where, you know, you go ask the career services department or whatever it's called at your school, or even just like a counselor at the school, and they'll direct you into the proper channel. Hannah, you were going to say something?
Yeah, sorry. That's something I actually really love about you and I. Is a little known fun fact about me is I'm a marketing minor, so I take a lot of classes in the business building and within the business program, and we have entire classes devoted to like you can get credit for like starting your own business, like, and really apply that to your learning. And I think that's super cool just because it lets students like kind of test the waters a little bit and really start gaining experience or putting ideas into motion, while also getting that college credit while they're still students. So I think that's super cool. I've seen so many episodes of Shark Tank. I think startups are so cool, but I could never do it.
Yeah, they do kind of put you in a Shark Tank scenario. So basically, after I went through that process of speaking with the person at the Innovation Institute, I went through a competition they had, which was called the Big Idea Competition, and that was basically like Shark Tank.
Oh my
it was like
goodness.
I think the funniest part about that whole process for me was trying to like pitch this little marching band app to like this $1 million like oil guy. It was like. He's like, why am I going to invest in this? I'm like, you don't need to, but but I was part of this competition, so I kind of have to pitch it to you. That was funny. But yeah, no, that's I guess really where, I was able to build, maybe I wasn't going to get investment from an oil baron, but I was able to build a deck. I was able to build sort of like, even just a PowerPoint presentation on what I was doing, which was useful in getting some investment in the future, but.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been funny just because it's like trying to explain band stuff to non-band people is already like hard enough. And then like this specific flip folder app for this specific problem that we all understand. This oil baron is like, I don't even know what the band does. So I think that's so funny.
Yeah, but you know what? I always go back to that because that was the moment where like I had to understand the elevator pitch. I had to because there's just no way I could like not have a good elevator pitch if I had somehow explained what this was to someone like that,
Yeah. Boy, that's incredible.
So, okay, so the big question here is that did he like the idea?
That's, I feel like you never really get a straight answer from those types of people, so I couldn't tell you.
That's a no. He's gonna sugarcoat it, and then just in the back of his mind, he's like, "Why?"
To be honest, I couldn't get past the whole like how is software intellectual property debate with that person. So, yeah, I wasn't about to sell him on this. Yeah, on that product.
Yeah.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, but clearly, you know what He did win enough. He got off the ground.
Oh, he won enough, yeah.
So, you know what? You don't have to win them all. You just have to win enough.
He's barely passed and you're good.
That's a good motto, honestly.
Exactly. You know what? As they say, C's get degrees. The same mantra.
Okay. We should not be promoting that.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know what?
Craig, if you're exposing yourself, that's not my fault. That's your fault.
No, I'm just saying that, like, there's a certain threshold of where you have to get to in order to, quote, be successful. And you can set that threshold wherever you want for yourself. But, like, for something that's a niche thing, it's going to be hard to sell. There's going to be a lot of people that are like, I just don't get it. For a lot of big, like, the big oil guy, he's not going to understand why you need software for a band. The band just goes and doots their horns and walks around for a little bit, right? But
yeah, I mean, the context is really important, but I think if you're looking to start a business and you honestly want, before you even get to that point, you want to see if it's going to take off, trying to come up with like a way to explain what you're doing to someone who knows nothing about it is actually really powerful. Like doing that helps you sort of kind of even just convince yourself that this is going to work. So I definitely recommend it.
And that's half the battle right there. Is if you don't believe in what you're doing, no matter what area
gotta
it's in.
believe.
Exactly. And like I said, there's those thresholds. That being said, if you want something to succeed, you've got to set your threshold really high and just
you got to put in the effort for
keep
it.
overshooting yourself so that you pass the threshold by flying colors. And you know what? It looks like that's what FlipFolderApp's doing. It's starting to grow in popularity, it looks like, in the band world. But yeah, I guess stepping a little away from the app specifically, what was your experience like in the pit band and just in general? Kind of just more about your own personal experiences.
Sure, yeah. I honestly, when I was looking at colleges to go to, I ended up picking Pitt for kind of two reasons. One was they gave me a really good option to major in both computer science and music, which a lot of the other options I was applying to, they just weren't providing that as an option. So I had to pick one. And the other reason was the band. I just loved the Pitt band, and like saw them go on the field once and I was sold, like that whole charge they do out of the tunnel. That's it. That's all I needed. So, a lot of people don't go to universities just for the band, but that was a big reason for me. And yeah, no, the band program was great. They have some really great leaders involved. The band director, Dr. Brad Townsend and Matt Alosi, the associate band director, are super cool people, great people. They, really kind of are thinking about how to push the band, not just just make it a good experience for people, but also making sure we're using technology. And I kind of came into a band that was really kind of 21st century already, using lots of technology and apps for things, and that kind of was the inspiration for this whole thing, just having that kind of ability to kind of do whatever I want. And when I talked to the band director about FlipFolderApp, he was sold immediately, and I guess I just didn't really expect that at first. But without the support of Dr. Townsend and Matt Alosi, there's no way it would have worked. So I'm really kind of grateful about that, and at this point I'm more than happy. I'm a staff member in the pit band, and I'm more than happy to help out any way I can. So
I think that's something that's so cool about marching band that a lot of people don't realize is how much, like, no matter what your major is, you can really find ways to grow and make it work in your major. Like, I'm a digital media production major, so that really has nothing to do with music. I just love music. I'm in band. And my sophomore year, when I was doing my leadership interview, Dr. Mertz actually was like, hey, you do video stuff. Do you want to do video stuff for the band? And that is like completely taken off for me. And like, it's been so cool that like he's always been so supportive of me pursuing that and getting to do a lot of cool things over the years. And it really made me love my major so much more, because every single week I'm getting to go out and get hands-on experience with the cameras and with editing. And like, that's just been such an awesome experience. So I feel like it's funny, just I guess back to my previous point, I'm like rambling a little bit here, is that like band can really benefit you no matter what your major is, like leadership, learning to do different things, like all kinds of stuff. So I love that. Stories like that are so fun.
So real talk here. How is it like performing in the same stadium as one Juju Smith-Schuster and his amazing TikTok dances?
It's good. I actually have a funny story about that. I have a friend in college who like makes videos with Juju Smith. So
wait, actually?
Yeah.
No, that's sick.
I'm not
That's the reason why they
close
lost
anymore. But yeah, no. It's cool. We actually played at one point at a Steelers game.
Ooh, that was
and
fun.
that was a lot of fun. Yeah. But I mean, the stadium is just like, I don't know. It's like when you get on that field, you just feel like a star. Honestly, like you could be the only one there, or you could be in a group of 400 people, and it wouldn't matter. It's just like, it's a crazy stadium, and it's amazing to perform there.
So cool.
And that's honestly, I miss that so much having graduated.
Do you I guess, are you happy with the fact that like Pitt's just using the Steelers stadium, or like would you rather have Pitt have their own football stadium instead?
I think the only kind of downside to the whole kind of what's going on with that is that we are at the mercy of the Steelers and the Steelers staff, and they're generally like pretty nice, and they let us do a lot of things. But if some weird rules that I don't know, I probably don't want to get into for political reasons, but if some weird rules that the Pitt band has to follow, that and everybody kind of has to follow, that sometimes puts a damper on things. Like for example, it's their choice sometimes whether we get to march if there's like a rainy day or whatever. In a lot of cases, that's because the next day the Steelers are coming on and they don't want the field to be a mess, because 300 people have gone across it and high marched and destroyed the field.
Yeah.
So
That's something I'd never think, like that's interesting to like think about, is like kind of sharing a stadium space, because we don't do that, obviously. So that's really interesting perspective.
Yeah, there's some problems that you run into, but I think, it, in my mind, like Heinz Field, I think they were gonna rename it because I think Heinz sponsorship ended or something. I haven't been updated on that.
FlipFolderApp Field?
Yes.
There's no way.
FFA Field. FFAF.
Something like
I would
that.
love to see it.
Someday.
That would be really cool, honestly.
Yeah, but it's, it makes up for everything because it's just such an amazing stadium. So
Yeah. Well, so of the bridges in Pittsburgh, which bridge is your favorite?
probably the one where they had to build a bridge underneath it to catch the debris that fell off of the other bridge.
Oh.
I forget what the name of that bridge was, but that's what they
So
legitimately
awesome.
did that. That's yeah.
Amazing.
I feel that bridge's struggle.
I don't know why.
I've
I don't know why they
never
did that.
I've never known. I mean, I've only been to Pittsburgh
That's so
once, so
funny.
I got a very limited experience of what the city's like, but I didn't know about that at all. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's
So like, is it used, or is it just like there to collect debris?
I'm pretty sure they rebuilt it, but
Okay.
yeah, there was a bridge and it was falling apart and pieces were falling off of it, but I guess it was still considered to be structurally sound. So the only problem was the pieces that were falling off. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just build a thing which catches the pieces that fall off. So they built another bridge.
Imagine
Just
just
for
like
catching the pieces.
going across this bridge, and you're like, oh, just walking or whatever, and a huge piece just like falls off, and you're like, yeah, this is fine. I feel super safe on this bridge.
Yeah, no, they rebuilt it. I think the public relations fiasco was probably a little too much after that. I think it got on like on the night the John Oliver show.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
I'll
So
have
it
to look
became
that
like
one
a-
up.
came like a PR thing.
That's incredible.
Although I guess it increased the bridge count, right? So
Yeah.
that's all that's important is how many
Wait,
bridges.
how
does
many
Pittsburgh
bridges?
have?
How many bridges are there?
I'm looking that up right now.
Okay, I had a
I
feeling.
had no
like, that
idea
was
this was a thing in Pittsburgh.
Neither did I.
Oh no! Oh,
The
I
more
knew it.
you
Oh,
know.
Trust me, when you go to Pittsburgh, it's just bridges because I mean they have the three rivers and they like coincide.
Yeah, I guess.
What is it?
yeah.
The Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Ohio. They all coincide. Did I get that right? Did I get
Yeah.
those three rivers? Okay, thank God.
So there's 446 bridges in Pittsburgh, and the
Oh
one that I
my
was talking about
goodness.
is the Greenfield Bridge. That was the one where
Interesting.
they constructed it specifically to
We're-
catch debris.
Okay, when you said when you guys were like, oh, there's a lot of bridges, I was thinking like 10 bridges.
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
was like,
there's
oh,
a-
it's,
Like,
10, 15,
there's
maybe 20.
so many bridges.
That's
It
so
There
is-
are quite a few.
It's insane how many. Like, it's actually really cool because the one thing that I really liked about it, because when we went to Pittsburgh, we went there to go see a Pirates game. And for those that don't know what the Pirates Stadium looks like, PNC Park is probably one of the most picturesque stadiums in all of sports, because down the third baseline, if you have seats there, you can see the entire skyline of Pittsburgh just like over the right field seats.
Yep.
And it's incredible. And there's a bridge called the Roberto Clemente Bridge that you basically walk over. If you're in like downtown Pittsburgh, you walk over that to go to the stadium, and it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that will perform in that stadium as well. I think I saw like Billy Joel there a while ago.
Ooh, that
Um,
must have been
Really?
fun.
So
Yeah.
cool.
That's cool.
Next time I drive back to New Jersey, I'll have to, go a little bit north into Pittsburgh to just check it out. As I'm driving through, find that bridge.
That one
Yeah.
specific
The
bridge.
one bridge that catches the other bridge's debris.
I do have to be honest. The first time you drive through like the bridges in downtown, you'll get lost. So be careful.
I'll leave
the
a little
GPS
extra.
couldn't keep up, because there's so many overlapping like
Oh,
roads
gosh.
and bridges that the GPS just doesn't know what road you're on. So
Oof.
Yeah, there's a lot of bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to Pittsburgh, so I guess I wouldn't know.
Well,
I hardly ever go east though, so sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
No, it's fine. How's the experience like going to a city school and the vibes around that? And I'm sure that there's probably like, along with Pitt itself, the university, I'm sure it's really, really easy and accessible to get to a lot of different places in the city, and a lot of great places to shop and eat and attractions and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
how was your experience, like just not only being on campus, but also being within the city limits of Pittsburgh?
yeah, it's good. I Oakland, which is where the actual campus is located is honestly it's more quiet than you would imagine for like a school that is technically a city school. Downtown is really like downtown Pittsburgh is really where like it's busy and bustling. Oakland does get bustling, but that's mostly because they're students. So I think the biggest sort of benefit for me, at least when I was going to Pitt, you know, as far as just the reason why it's a city school, was probably the fact that I could get internships in downtown. There's lots of like companies that, you know, have tech internships available. And, you know, I applied to them and just took a bus down the road and that was it, you know. So
what are
just
like the
having
big
access
tech
to that.
companies there? What are
There's
like the big
not,
tech companies there?
Honestly, it's more just like you can work for PNC, Pittsburgh National Corporation, as a software developer, or basically as anything because they hire lots of different folks.
Okay,
I worked for some smaller companies though, which nobody would know about. But there's just lots of. I don't think there's a Google. There is a Google actually, but it's not in downtown. It's in East Liberty. But there's lots of companies. Also, UPMC is pretty big. And they have like a branch that's specifically for like software development as well. So there's a lot to do if you're into kind of computer science and Pitt. Lots of jobs to be had, and yeah, business as well. There's anyway. My point is there's opportunities with the city, which is cool that you wouldn't have if you went somewhere else unless you were looking for like a remote job.
Okay,
That's really cool. I know with obviously Cedar Falls, not a big city, so I like a lot of internships in my field. We have
how's life in Cedar Falls? How's life in Cedar Falls?
How
hopping is it?
It's a nice
city.
It's a really nice town. We have a really good cupcake place called Scratch Cupcakery. It's my favorite place in the entire world, honestly. It's definitely not like a huge city, but we're close enough to Waterloo, which has like John Deere, which is one of the huge employers in our area, as you can imagine. We have like I love the vibe in Cedar Falls. The University of Iowa is more similar to Pitt in that it's like integrated right into the city. And I actually hated that when I went to Iowa. So that was why I didn't go to the University of Iowa. But I really like Cedar Falls, although definitely for my major, there's not a ton of opportunities with like larger companies. So a lot of times like summer internships, we all have to move to like California or Florida or something for 3 months and then we come back.
Yeah, University of Iowa is a user of FlipFolderApp, so shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to the Hawkeye marching band. Y'all are doing great.
Craig, how's life like in New Brunswick?
So life in New Brunswick, New Jersey is definitely, you know, it's New Brunswick itself is not a great city, but the area right around right around Rutgers and Johnson & Johnson, their world headquarters is like right across the street from like some of the Rutgers classroom buildings. So like that part of the city is really nice. And then there's like a little strip of like kind of like happening downtown area. But then there's a lot of parts of the city that are just like not very nice. But you know, so we're not like technically we're in a city, but like nobody ever leaves the campus and stays in the city. But we're so close to New York and Philadelphia that it's an hour train ride either way. So while you don't have those resources immediately there, like 10 steps from campus, you have those an hour's drive. So it's not too bad. And I think that it's kind of similar at Maryland with Washington, right? With DC.
Yeah. So Maryland itself is like College Park, kind of a sketchy town outside of the actual campus itself. So I mean, if you're there, you mostly either just stay on campus, go on Route 1, or go over to the metro station, which is probably like a mile off campus from Route 1. And then that takes you into DC, which is literally just a metro right away. So getting into downtown DC is like a half hour or so. And it's really cheap, which is just really, really convenient. I wish it was on campus. I think they were actually trying to build it on campus at one point, and then they said no. And then now there's this like terrible light rail situation, which is never going to get solved and hasn't even been close to being built yet. And it's just like I think they've gone through like 3 different contractors for a project that hasn't even started yet. And the only thing that they've done is just put up like construction fences. And it's not an ideal situation. But it's campus kind of downtown part that's like there's like a Target Express and then there's like a bunch of places to eat. bars, and then basically that's kind of it. And then you don't really go anywhere else because like gets a little bit sketchy in different places.
I will say the nice thing about Cedar Falls too, I guess I forgot to mention this, is we have tons, like at the library, if you don't have a bike or don't bring one with you to campus, you can check them out at the library on campus. And we have like tons of bike trails, so you can get literally anywhere in Cedar Falls just using the bike trails. And one thing I really do love about Cedar Falls too is that it's like a bustling little city without being crazy. So like you can go walk around downtown that's like really cute. There are tons of awesome small businesses. We're right on the Cedar River, so we have some parks down there. Our Target and stuff is kind of a drive from campus. It's like maybe 10-ish minutes. So it's not like super far, but it's not as walkable. It's definitely doable. But I guess I really like that it's small, but it's not so small that you're like, I feel like I'm seeing the same 4 people every single day. So I like it. It's like a happy medium.
That wouldn't be good.
Yeah, no, we actually do have some really there are a couple smaller like private colleges around, and some of them they have like fewer students than like the hometown I grew up in, and I was like, no, that's not for me.
Yeah,
I
know that was one thing for me that I was like, when I was looking for schools, I did not want to go to a college that was smaller than my high school. And like I went to a pretty big high school. It was my graduating class was 747 people. So like I was like, I don't want to go to one of those small liberal arts colleges in New England or like Eastern Pennsylvania.
Just
nothing wrong with those.
New England.
No, it's like when I think of like
No
a
love.
New England university other than like the state schools, I think of like those smaller schools, like the 1,500 total students at the school.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
Yeah, that's how Wartburg is.
I'm like,
And it's
I wouldn't want that.
everybody has to have their perfect fit. So I know a lot of people do love smaller colleges. I just like, and it's funny because Craig was just like, oh, you know, my high school was kind of big, had like 700 people. My high school is considered kind of big in Iowa, and I graduated with like 150. So
Wait, Marcus, how big was your graduating
size
class?
is relative.
High school, I do not remember.
Oh,
To be
God.
honest with you. I was thinking about that while you were speaking. I'm like, I don't know. Forget.
Mine was like 500, 400 or 500. I mean, New Jersey's way
New
too
Jersey's a
dense.
very densely populated place.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people in a lot of different areas. Wait, so to transition, or I guess do we want to talk about the thing that's going to happen on the podcast on Friday and kind of tease it, or no?
Sure.
Well, like, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this like marching pep band tune madness thing, where it's basically like a marching band. You know, it's like a March Madness bracket, but with pep band songs. So, Marcus, what's your favorite pep band tunes?
Pep band tunes. I feel like honestly, I just Hey Baby. It always gets me. You know. Is that considered a pep band tune? I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hey
Yeah,
Baby
I think
is
that's
a
like the one
staple.
seed.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey
it's,
Baby's
I'm like,
a-
hey,
we never
We
did
never
seeds.
we never officially seeded them, but like it was the first one on the list.
It's
Yeah, I
like
was gonna say.
I feel like Hey Baby is like the Gonzaga of our tournament. They are just perfect.
Honestly, I feel like at this point it's a nostalgic song. It's like a
Yeah.
marching band nostalgia song. Like I
Yeah.
played it in
Yeah.
high school, played it in college, and it's just like that's it.
Same.
That's the song.
Any others?
I don't mind. Oh my gosh, the name of the song is I'm losing it.
That's the hard thing when we're just like putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm terrible with all kinds of names, people and songs. Apparently. Yeah, you have to come back to me.
Okay.
I will say one thing we do in the PMB to cue up Hey Baby. One of the drum majors just goes, we're like, Hey Baby.
Oh, that.
See,
So
that
along with
was
the
a
number.
similar one to our Runaway Baby sign, where it was.
I've
like,
never heard
Someone
Runaway
running.
Baby before. Y'all keep
But
talking about it,
it's-
but I have.
It's one of the
We
greatest
never
Bruno
played it.
Mars
We-
songs of all time.
We played Uptown Funk. We never played Runaway Baby.
Runaway Baby is.
I mean, I'm not
yeah.
saying that one's better than the other, but like, I mean, we just
I don't know.
never
I
played
feel
it.
like I just remember my freshman year when I think of Bruno Mars, I think about how we did like 3 different Bruno Mars songs, and like 2 of them were in the same show just because he like put out so much music that one year. We were like, okay, whatever you want, Bruno. So we did like Uptown Funk, we did 24 Karat Magic, and then we did what was the last one? Shoot, That's What I Like. We did that with the Iowa State band. So shout out to the Iowa State band.
My boy Alex is in the chat, and he said "Take on Me." That's a pretty big one.
Take on Me is such a
That's
good one. That is absolutely true. We did that in a marching show, and it's funny because that was my sophomore year, and one of our visuals that we did this shimmy thing in it. And it's just funny because we put it in our pep band folders, and then now whenever we do it, all the like underclassmen, like they automatically do the shimmy even though they don't know where it came from, and that's like my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, I think if the University of Pittsburgh as a band were to just combine and like in a hive mind and give you one answer, it'd probably be Snakes on a Plane or The Kids Aren't All Right, which are two kind of
That's
staples to the Pitt band.
amazing.
But
Are they-
personally, the one that I was thinking about previously that I like is Talking Out the Side of Your Neck. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of
Yeah,
that one.
next a banger.
I love
Next a
Neck.
banger.
I think
That's-
the
I
entire
think
marching community
my
as a
one
whole
seed.
loves Neck.
That's my one seed.
Yeah.
My freshman year, I just remember we did that. I didn't know what Neck was when I was a freshman. We played it for like backfield, and I was like, why is everybody so excited about this song?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, it's
bop.
funny
I
how
love it.
those songs that like nobody would really listen to nowadays, but you put it on a marching band and suddenly it's like, oh, this is my favorite song.
Exactly.
Did you guys play a lot of? I don't even know if it's possible, but did you guys play any like Mac Miller songs? And
No.
translate that into band. Well, no, I was asking that for Marcus because
Oh,
Mac Miller's
sorry.
from Pittsburgh.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Okay, I was just curious because I don't know how people decide to change things and try to do things for like local people. Luckily, we haven't done a
Yeah.
Logic song yet because I don't want to do that. Oh God.
Speaking
Ugh.
of playing songs by local artists, my junior year of band, we got a new director and we kind of changed up the pregame show a little bit. And they added in "Living on a Prayer" because, Bon Jovi, for the non-Jersey folk, is a Jersey icon. So that was like the song, and the song was introduced in the pregame show as our New Jersey anthem, "Living on a Prayer." But it was a really hard arrangement that we just couldn't play very well. And so eventually we replaced the song with "Runaway Baby" just because it was a fun song that the crowd loved. It hyped everybody up. But the first week we made the transition, they read the wrong announcement and they referred to it as our New Jersey anthem, "Runaway Baby." And so it was just like a little joke like within the band of like, oh yeah, that's the New Jersey anthem, "Runaway Baby." So it's a great one.
I love that.
Wait.
We did I remember us doing, I think we did "Living on a Prayer." It was in that same show as "Take on Me." So we don't have like local artists in Iowa. Like local. We had Maddie Poppy won American Idol when
What?
it was like my
Who?
junior year. She won American Idol, and we were like, hey, like we could do a co-show with you. And I'm pretty sure her manager was like, LOL,
Oh.
no. She went to UNI too, so it would have been fun. But other than that, like not exactly a hip and happening music scene in the state.
But what
Did
you
you
don't have in artists, you make up for in lots of corn.
Corn.
That's
Highest
true.
annual rate of production.
Absolutely correct.
I wanted to ask something that has to relate to Bruno Mars. Did anyone listen to that new Silk Sonic record with
I have
him and
not yet.
Anderson .Paak? It is.
I didn't know he had new music.
Yeah, he's doing a joint like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like funk and like R&B with him and Anderson .Paak, and it's incredible. Like
I think one of my favorite things
it's
about
gonna be
Bruno
so
Mars is
good.
that he'll come out with a bunch of music we all like and like all at once, and then he just like vanishes for 4 years and then he returns with more music because it's like
oh, trust me, you need to listen to this.
the
It's
Unorthodox
so good.
Jukebox album came out when I was like in middle school, and I remember loving that. And then when I was in high school or when I was in college, Bruno Mars was suddenly relevant again, and here he is again.
Yeah,
The man
it's-
just keeps going. I respect
trust me,
it.
it's incredible. Like
Go,
anyone,
Bruno. Get it
y'all
done.
need to listen to it. It is. I think it's called "Leave the Door Open." I think that's the name of the song. It's, oh God, it's. I can feel the vibes. The vibes.
I
are
don't know
just
about
so
y'all,
good.
but I always get in a
Sure.
bad right. Now that I have Spotify, I mean, like I've had Spotify for a couple years now, but I feel like I always just put like my favorites on a playlist and just go with that. Like I will say we have like a PMB playlist that we all use, so anytime we're in need of those good PMB vibes, you go to that mutual playlist with just all the good pep tunes right on there.
Yeah, I'm one of those weird people that uses YouTube Music. Uh,
What?
one of the reasons why I like it, well, you know, I have that YouTube that like YouTube Premium or whatever because I really don't like ads and I spend a lot of time on YouTube. And one of the things that I do is I put YouTube Music on mix. I say start radio, so I basically have like a playlist with all of my favorites, and I press start radio. And then I don't know why, I don't know how they do it, but it always plays things that are like I haven't listened to before, but are basically they fit the kind of music that I like, which I appreciate. So I using YouTube.
See, my thing is like I think Spotify has a radio function too, but then I feel like I'm so picky with music, I'll just keep skipping them, and I'm like, at that point, what is the point? I didn't know YouTube Music did that though. That's really cool.
Yeah, they're trying to compete. It's not necessarily like, you know, I'm not sponsored by YouTube Music. But they, yeah, I don't mind it. So you just start radio and you can play whatever. It's kind of crappy that they make you have to pay so that you can't like, I think you can't like lock your phone and the music will stop or something if you don't pay for it. So.
Yeah,
But since I
that's
have,
a thing.
Since I have YouTube Premium, it doesn't do that.
I feel like that'd be so powerful just to be able to lock your phone. YouTube just keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. What's
That's
like a
next level
song?
power.
What's like anyone got any like new music recommendations?
Does it have to be like music, or can it be band music? It's like
I mean,
Pep tunes,
preferably
we've discovered some good ones this year.
preferably music, but I mean, if you want to throw out the pep band music stuff, feel free.
Well, have you heard of the the whole kind of sea shanty thing going on right now? Where
Yeah.
Okay.
the
this
longest Johns, they come out with bangers. The longest
All right.
Johns.
They
All
do.
right. This is something that I am very passionate about. Wellerman is not a sea shanty. Objectively speaking, it is not.
Whatever
a sea
it
shanty.
is.
It is
totally
a sea
is.
song, which is a different
It's
genre.
a sea song.
No, okay, what is your
okay.
class of? How do you classify a sea shanty?
A
then?
sea
Craig is
shanty
very
is
passionate about this.
defined not by me, but the definition of it is a work song from ships that were used to keep the crewmates in time. That were often in a call and response fashion. An example of a song that technically is considered a sea shanty, well, in the sea shanty style, is actually the SpongeBob theme song.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Who lives in a
no.
pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. That's when they'd be hoisting SpongeBob SquarePants. That's when they'd be like hoisting the anchor or something like that.
Okay, no, I get that, but I refuse
The
to accept
Wellerman,
that
on the other
logic.
hand,
No.
is not a sea shanty. It is not a call and response song.
Craig's way too
It is-
passionate.
I
but
am
love
very
it.
passionate about this. This is something
Listeners,
that
weigh in the comments. Tell us what you're
Please.
thinking about Craig's interesting
Tell us your
take.
favorite sea and shanty. Just both.
Shanty
Favorite
comes from the word
favorite
chant.
shanty.
I'm just gonna say that. Song versus chant.
That I feel like I have two things to argue here. One is about the Wellerman, the other is using the SpongeBob theme song as a true example for anything.
It's not a
ever.
true example. It's an example of a sea shanty style song.
You are.
Unbelievable.
It's not an
You are-
authentic.
I'm not even like I didn't even come prepared with all my reasons that this is wrong, so I'm just like trying to think of them now because there are a lot.
So like
I
my
absolutely
favorite
reject
sea,
your theory.
So like my favorite sea
passion.
is the Baltic Sea. Big fan of the Baltic Sea. Got good stuff going.
It's a pretty
on
good
there.
one. It's a pretty good one.
It's a great sea. I don't care about the shanties part of it, but the sea part of it, the Baltic Sea is just ideal.
Just glad that someone else was jammed to the sea shanties as much as I was because like
Yeah.
the harmonies are so good.
They are,
It's so
they are.
good.
Yeah, they are. And honestly, it got me into like folk music again.
Yes, I
and-
love that.
Yeah, and like even oh my gosh, what's his name? Yeah, Stan Rogers, like his music,
Mhm.
like Canadian artist, Canadian folk music artist, like that. I got into that. And I'd never listened to that kind of stuff before, but
I
it's,
love
honestly,
that.
it's great. I feel like it's just happy music. Like people are looking for that stuff.
It
like,
is.
just happy music.
Happy, simple music with no subliminal messages. And you know what? Sometimes we just need that.
Exactly. You know, just especially as we're approaching the 1 year mark of COVID, we really need some just happy.
That's literally tomorrow.
Yeah.
I hope
some,
you
some
realize
happy
that that's
music
literally tomorrow.
that just doesn't have any subliminal.
Yeah, you just need
Thanks,
some good vibe in
Rudy.
music. It's
Tim,
crazy to
I'm
think
just-
about. I just like all week I've just like I get the Snapchat memories in my phone. So it's like I saw my Snapchat memories from our conference tournament, which little did we know was one of the only ones that was going to get completed last year. And then like, I know tomorrow is going to be a year since you and I was like, hey, we're shutting down for 2 weeks. And we were all like, whoa, crazy. And then we shut down for like 8 months. So
Yeah. Today's the 1-year anniversary of Rutgers getting that email.
oh man, I remember we got I remember watching all the big schools do it, and I was like, oh, if Iowa or Iowa State calls it, UNI is going to do it, because we just do what all the big schools do in our state. We're like, we don't want any trouble. We'll just do what everybody else is doing. So that's crazy.
What was that like for you, Marcus, dealing with everything that happened with that? Because I mean, it was quite insane just how everything's happened.
Yeah, well, so I was graduated at that point, which there was a meme at one point where it was like the students that graduated before the pandemic, and it's that like plane going away from the town that's like burning. That was me. But
If only.
as far as the like, you know, FlipFolderApp and the other stuff I was doing was concerned, we adjusted like we tried to basically adapt everything we were doing for like what was changing. So we were focusing on you know, less of the connectivity where you're like next to each other and more of the connectivity when you're across the, you know, continent from each other, and you know, what kind of other things we can do. So we I think we added like many features to help with the new learning environment. One of them being that the like director can just kind of draw on the music and have it come up on everybody's screen like immediately, which was useful for like pointing out things just on the fly, and lots of things like that we added. And yeah, I feel like we successfully adapted about as much as we could. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of the case with a lot of people. It's like they just wish things would come back to normal, but at the same time, like, you know, we have to adapt. We're, you know, humans are good at that. You know, I'm optimistic about our ability to kind of overcome these things, and deal with them and kind of almost, I wouldn't say thrive in them, but almost thrive in them. After we kind of learn, you know, what the new normal is. And I think regardless of what happens moving forward, there will be a new normal, right? Like things are going to change both with marching bands and everything else going forward, one way or another. So,
yeah. And for people that are just joining in or who tuned in a little later, it's over, I think, on that side of me is Marcus. He is the founder and creator of FlipFolderApp. You may have recognized that name from our ad reads and whatnot. He is the face behind the company that is so graciously sponsored us. I think their logo is down in that corner, right there. But yeah, so that's, if you saw this face that you're not too familiar with, that's who this guy is. But yeah, so we've been chatting a little bit about FlipFolderApp, a little bit about band. If anybody has any questions for him or just us in general, you can still throw them in the chat. You got a little bit of time left. But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to...
We'll hang out here for a couple more minutes and just vibe. How's everyone's Wednesdays been?
Yeah, it's been good. We just, for a little bit there, our viewers probably saw me like pulling my earbuds out and like looking over. My window's right over there. It was like raining really, really hard. And I was like, but you know what? Like, it seems fine now. So storm is probably done.
So the tornado hasn't hit.
Yeah, the tornado did not hit me. So
as far as we know,
as
that's
far
true.
As we know.
It could be coming later. The funniest thing is that today was our second day of spring this year. And of course we get like a tornado watch literally out of nowhere, because yesterday it was, I believe 68 degrees. It was so beautiful. 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was like 60 below zero here. So like, it was wonderful. I wore my Birkenstocks. I was so happy. Then today it's been like storming off and on. So
I think I just saw a flash of lightning out my window.
Oh, hey.
Looks like the storm's moving south.
Yeah. I didn't get the tornado, but maybe Craig will.
Woohoo!
I don't think that's a positive thing.
That's how you become a Midwesterner, Craig, is
just like wish tornadoes to go to other people. I don't like that.
No, I mean like you have to write out like a tornado warning and then you're a true Midwesterner.
Can I just have my New Jersey back?
I mean,
yeah,
like,
I'll allow it. I mean, it's not that fun. Like after the fact, it's crazy.
It was windy today. That was about it.
Do you have any stories of like what your band had to do when there was a bad storm at one point?
Oh my goodness, I have so many actually.
Yes.
I had one I believe it was my junior year actually. And we're in the dome obviously, so thankfully like we didn't get wet. but there was a leak in the roof. They hadn't fixed them yet. So we could hear like the storm going crazy outside the dome, but we're partially underground. So we were, proceeding as normal. And so me and the person next to me, we're suddenly like, we're just getting covered in water. So we're like jumping out of where our dots are because the roof started leaking. It was leaking on us, which is, as I'm saying that, it's not as funny now that I think about there are bands who literally just perform outside and y'all get rained on. So
Yeah.
So for us, that was very wild. But actually, we were getting ready to leave rehearsal and the same night, and like it had like the storm had totally like lulled out. It was super quiet, and all of a sudden, just as Mert said, "All right, band dismissed," like there's this huge clap of thunder, like the power went out a little bit. So then we were all like, I think we're just gonna stay here and hang out for a little while longer.
The band director has spoken.
Exactly. He didn't even say anything to like, it would have been even better if it was something really dramatic and then it just like the world just ends outside. When I was in high school too, I know we were having to practice our marching indoors because it was a summer rehearsal and it was storming so bad outside, but all the lights kicked off in the gym and then the scoreboard lit up and buzzed just because there's like a power surge or something, and that was pretty crazy.
There was something that happened. So when Maryland played Texas, I know that I mentioned Maryland beating Texas a lot, but like this, there's actually, yeah, of course, horns down, but there's actually a reason behind this one. So Maryland played Texas. The game was at FedEx Field. For those that don't know, that's the home of the Washington football team. Might be one of the worst created stadiums in the history of sports. I don't know what they did with it, but they did not design it well. And in the middle of the game, basically between I think it was like right going into the fourth quarter, something like that. I think Texas had just scored, or Maryland had just scored, one of the two. And then there was inclement weather that was supposed to come through. So we basically went, it was an open air stadium. So we left, went onto this like ramp that was just there that I guess only authorized personnel can use. So for us, we were authorized personnel, so we could use it to get down to the field. And we just kind of hung out there, and it just kept raining and raining and raining. And we were, so like the ramp, basically there were people there was like a lower ramp and then an upper one. So it like connected like this. And the way that the stadium was created, I don't know what they did, but there was basically like a giant river of water that just started flowing down the one side of the ramp and then continued around to the other side of the ramp. And I saw photos of like people inside of the media room. There were like whatever like the ceiling was like caving in because of the amount of water that was there. Like people apparently, so I was on like the bottom part of the ramp, but people on the top part of the ramp were doing like paper boat races on the water. And we're like doing all this crazy stuff.
When life hands you lemons, honestly.
People tried to stop the water with their feet on the lower side of the ramp to prevent it from it was absolute chaos, but it was so enjoyable. And then Maryland ended up winning, so it was great. But like,
a band that also, I wish we had somebody from either I think it was the Iowa State Iowa game. Because we all, for those of you who don't know, in the state of Iowa, you're either loyal to Iowa State or Iowa. In addition to you and I, we're like, they call us little brother, which is not entirely incorrect. But their like rivalry game is a huge deal every year, and it got delayed like 4 or 5 hours because they kept getting more thunderstorm warnings. So they'd have to clear the stadium for like 30 minutes, and everyone would come back in. But I remember because they're obviously Iowa State, their mascot they're the Cyclones. So the actual tornado sirens were going off, and people were super confused because they also play that anytime they get a touchdown or something good happens. So you have all these fans who are like, are we supposed to go somewhere? Like, are we okay? Are we celebrating?
Just chaos.
Like sheer chaos.
Wait, Craig, what about you?
I think I talked about this a little bit last week, so I'm gonna kind of abbreviate it. But for Marcus's sake, I'll still tell the story. So it was my sophomore year. We were playing Penn State. To set the scene, we'd already been shut out, I think 3 times that season by by schools. Ohio State, Michigan, and I think Michigan State was the other one. And so we were playing Penn State, and started out it was a late season. It was the last game of the season, I think, and it started out like in the 60s, but we were bundled up because late November, it's gonna get cold out. So we started out the game. It's nice, sunny. we're a little warm. Just come off the field pregame, we start to sweat a little bit. So it's that's not great. But then the temperature plummets as the sun goes down. Drops as it's dropping down. It hits like the 30 or it hits like the 50 mark. All of a sudden, all that sweat that came out of us, and now just like in the uniforms, is making us really cold. It's great. It starts to rain. All right, now we're definitely wet and cold, except the temperature doesn't stop there. It continues to go down, and it thunders a little bit, and they take a little bit of a delay. Not too bad. The game goes on. Then the temperature drops down even more, and the rain turns to sleet. And then at the end of this game, we were shut out, I believe, 49-0. Or it was either 49 or 39. There were two shutouts that season that were 49 and 39. I don't remember which one it was. But regardless, after that game on Twitter, we were compared to the musicians on the Titanic. Just playing the team down.
Oh, that was like when Maryland lost 59-0.
That is so unfortunate.
Maryland got destroyed.
The Rutgers band, dudes who were down bad, honestly.
So, Craig, was it like a photo of just like you guys isolated as like it was just you and that was the only people that were there? Because when Maryland got destroyed,
a lot of Penn State fans stayed.
Okay, because ours was like the entire student section was gone and it was just the band, and it was like, see, the band is the only thing that stays, and Maryland was losing like 52-0 at the time, and it was fantastic.
For a few games, we would have pretty sold out stadiums, but they weren't our fans in the stadiums because there's so many people in like the New Jersey, New York region. So many Ohio State fans, are in New York City. So many Michigan fans are in that area. They come for the games, and especially if it's like an easy win for their team. Oh, why wouldn't you go to that game? So like there was still a lot of Penn State fans there. And the student section had completely emptied out, and then a bunch of Penn State fans like kind of rushed into it, and security was like, "No, you're out of there. Go back to your seats." But it was a wild experience.
I'm so sad for y'all. That is so unfortunate.
No, but like it's fun. Like while you're in that moment, it sucks, but afterwards, it's just the memories that you hold on to, and it's
that's fair.
Marcus, what about a Pitt? I'm sure there's been a lot of interesting weather moments.
Yeah, it rains a Pitt, a lot. And there was actually a season, what kind of prompted me to bring up this question, where it was so bad that, it inspired the creation of us selling the waterproof phone pouch, because it was rained. I think we didn't march like the last 3 games of the season, which really was kind of a bummer.
That's so sad.
And then on top of that, we went to the ACC championship game, which was amazing. But then that rained, and we didn't march that as well. So it's just kind of like but you know what? When you're dealing with band people, like we don't let ourselves get too down. So, but it was still like a bummer that like. It was honestly the weather, like most of that time was okay. It just happened to be the days that we had games, it would pour with rain. And there was at one point, so Heinz, we had like this whole section of Heinz field where the band is. And we hadn't, I guess, talked before about like where to go if we are kicked off of the field because there's a thunderstorm around. So it was kind of a mess where half the band went up to the top and then the other half of the band went down to the bottom.
Oh God.
When at one point they said, "Hey, we got to clear the stands," and I just remember like it being a complete mess where we tried to like get the band back together, and at one point they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go march now," so we all like filter our way through the tunnel onto the field, and then they just call us off of the field again. So we're like, "Everybody turn around, we're going back," and it was weird. It was like we were just kind of marching around waiting to actually play something.
That's chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah, we figured out. I think that was the game. We were like, okay, let's go ahead and let everybody know that when we are kicked off the field, we go here.
Yeah,
let's set up some protocols. That's probably a good idea.
That seems like a pretty sound plan. Oh, let's have some structure here. Never had that before.
See, here's
the
just
thing. Never happened.
So yeah, sometimes you just don't think about it until it happens, and you're like, you know what, we're gonna remember this for next time.
You gotta do that.
We've definitely done that.
Did we get any questions?
I don't think so.
Dang.
I think yeah, we're we're kind of coming up at the 1 hour mark.
Yeah, why don't we wrap things up?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's probably about time we wrap this thing up. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's hanging out with us in the chat. Huge thank you to our guest, Marcus, on this side of me right there, for coming on. Once again, thank you to our friends over at College Marching for partnering with us. And then I guess I normally say thank you to FlipFolderApp for the sponsorship, but thank you, Marcus, as I've said many times, the founder and creator of FlipFolderApp.
Where can people find FlipFolderApp?
FlipFolder.app, or you can search for FlipFolder in the Google Play Store or Apple App Store.
Perfect.
And Hannah, where can people find more about the podcast?
You can find us on Instagram at College Band Radio. You can find us on YouTube right here at College Band Radio. And on Twitter, you can find us at College Band RDO, because as you remember, radio is one letter too long.
And with that, make sure you guys all tune in to the episode dropping on Friday. It's going to be a great one. I hope you're all excited. And I am looking forward to seeing you all back in the chat next Wednesday for the live show. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, wear a mask. I think I said that right, Alex, did I?
Yeah, I'll say it. Stay safe, stay healthy, please wear a mask, and we'll talk to you guys next Wednesday.
See ya.